Finally, guys, Mr. Dele Farotimi has been vindicated after a US-based, website by the name WikiLeaks exposed how Afe Babalola and ex-president Obasanjo once purchased an appeal court judgment for 30 million naira. That's around the sum of $1.3 million. Guys, don't forget, Dele Farotimi, he has said it that one of the reasons that made him to resign from practicing law, right, is because of the mess, the insanity that is in the Nigeria judicial system. He just can't go before a court saying, yes, my Lord, yes, my worship, to so-called honorable people who are dishonorable people who are not honorable. Do you understand what I'm saying? You see, he's only a blind person, a person who has been cursed with corruption, whose mind, that brain has been tampered with corruption, that we say that Nigeria judiciary as it stands is not in shambles, is not a mess, is not a quagmire. Last year, during the presidential election, they told us that RF was going to be used, that it's going to be transmitted live. That was the guidelines of INEC. Only for them to see that on that day Peter Obi was winning, what happened? They switched off RF. If Ghana could conduct credible election, South Africa could conduct credible election, isn't it a shame that with the so-called giant of Africa, we cannot? Why? Because corruption has eaten deep into the marrows of our leaders. They said they're going to use RF, they switch it off. But we got to call, what happened? Even if that was the guideline that was set, that was the rule that was set, what happened? The court threw it aside. Why? All the judges were bribed. Guys, yes, from Omoyole Sowore, timeline. He's on Twitter and on Facebook. This from Facebook. He said, Chief Afe Babalola chickens are coming home to roast. Facts are now emerging that, in fact, the reputation they are using the Nigeria police force to protect that kidnapping Dele Farotimi doesn't exist at all. Here is WikiLeaks US government cable detailing how Chief Afe and former President Obasanjo bought a court of appeal judgment with cash in Plateau State. It's lengthy. I can't read it. Take a look at this. Please don't forget to like this video and please share as you watch the rest of the video. Please share it until all Nigerians see it. The Lord bless you. Please, in case today is your first time of coming across my video, this is Holy Ghost platform, a platform that tells you undiluted truth.
Tuning that image, that reputation built over the years. And I'm asking you to substantiate. Tell Nigerians on this platform what exactly was the case. How did he deny you justice through the system?
Sheon,
Mr.
I wrote a book deliberately setting out the facts. I have also been very deliberate in my presentation and speaking about the book since I wrote it, to make sure that nobody is able to say that I have written the book with the intention of scandalizing persons. When I said Afe Babalola denied me justice, I laid out the substance of my allegation in the book that I have written. If I begin to deal with the nuts and bolts of it on your podcast or in the press, that's why you've never seen me tweet any part of the allegation or speak about it publicly. I've put it in a book. That is deliberate. It will outlive me and them. It is not beer parlor talk. It is me putting my words in writing. It is indelible. Nobody can touch it again. Before that book was written, my major prayer was that Afe Babalola should live to read that book, or at least have somebody read it to him, or at least have somebody tell him about it so that he's able to rebut, and nobody is going to turn around later on and claim that, why didn't you say this when he was alive? In actual fact, that was why I sued him in his lifetime, so that there would be a record that I challenged him with the fact when he was alive. And thanks to God, the God who has given all of us life, he has preserved him as he has preserved me. Afe Babalola is alive and well. he is well able to challenge the facts as I have laid them out. So when I say that he denied me justice, even you who has read the book, let me just say this. How do you explain that the person who was the chairperson at my wedding was the judge, the chairperson at my wedding, who has not talked to me and has kept a distance and been very malicious towards me since 2003? She has never had a word to say to me. That was the person, my very first employer as a lawyer. That was the judge that the case was assigned to. My case against Afe Babalola was assigned to that judge.
And you think that you couldn't have gotten justice?
How could I possibly have gotten justice from a judge who hadn't spoken to me, who was chairperson at my wedding, who was the first person to ever employ me? And that
Who will imagine that kind of person would be in your favor, not against you?
Oh, I didn't need anyone to be in my favor. But as I said in the book, the moment the case was assigned to her, I called the former head of chambers and told him, see, they've assigned my case to this woman. If I write a letter demanding that the case be removed, it will be construed as me being malicious. I'll leave it, since she's not the substantive judge. She's meant to be the I can't remember what they call those things. When you file a case, first it goes to a judge before it goes to trial. She was just meant to just take the preliminary issues. But she killed the case before it even went. That's another story, and it's been told. See, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done. She adjourned to rule on a preliminary objection. We wrote 2 letters to the court to find out when the ruling will be delivered, and copied our first chamber. Nobody ever responded. 9 months after her adjournment, she delivered the ruling without even informing us. We just happened to be in court for something else, and we realized that she had delivered her ruling without ever informing us. I have provided more. Look, my own is this. Before the book was written, I was pressured. I was under a lot of personal pressure that I must write this book and it must be in the public space, because none of us will live forever. Now I have written this book. Those who feel aggrieved by the book should do me the favor of suing me. I have not whispered in a beer parlor. I did not talk in some back room somewhere. I have written a book. It is in the public domain. If they are aggrieved, let them go to court. Everybody, they tell us in Nigeria, go to court. Where our judiciary did not become the way it is because Dele said anything. Incidentally, I believe about 2 years ago, when Justice Ariwola was appointed acting CJ, this question you have asked of me tonight was probably a mirror image of the same question Dr. Ruben Abati asked of me about Ariwola and what effect he might have, what changes we might expect from the judiciary. I told him at the time that I didn't expect anything to change. Just as I'm telling you as well, right here and now, that I expect nothing to change. The Nigerian judiciary is the way it is because that is the way the system needs it to be, for the system to function.
Mr. Farotimi, there are those who know Justice Kekereekun and who will refer to Justice Kekereekun in this manner. They say Justice Kekereekun is incorruptible and comes with the highest level of integrity. Would you be fair to have referred to Justice Kekereekun in the manner in which you have referred to her? Our person has been. You have made reference.
Listen, my brother. Listen, my brother. Persons make up systems, but essentially, this is not about persons. I don't have a personal experience of Justice Kekereekun, so I cannot speak to a person. But I can speak to the institution that she is heading. And I am saying that the institution she's heading is institutionally incapable of delivering justice because the system has not been set up to deliver justice. I don't know who she is as a person, but I know what she represents. And I am saying that the institution she represents, look, don't listen to me. Listen to Ebun Shofunde SAN. Mr. Shofunde was very specific when he said very clearly that the judicial reputation is at an all-time low. That is the head of the body of senior advocates of Nigeria. Not me. I'm even a retired lawyer. I'm not a seasoned lawyer. Don't worry. It actually makes more sense for everybody to believe that I should not be taken seriously since I kukuma come across as a madman. So don't worry about me. Let's listen to the likes of Ebun Shofunde. Let's listen to I forget this justice name, the one that retired from Niger State. In the chambers at his own valedictory service, he was busy indicting the judiciary and excoriating it in the strongest possible term, not something I said. So when I say it, maybe the irreverent manner that I might adopt in delivering the truth without bothering to sugarcoat it might come across as shocking, but I am not saying anything that we all are not aware of. Our judiciary is a reflection of the society that we have managed to build, debased, debauched, completely acculturated to abnormalities. It does not deliver any justice. We are only fooling ourselves. How do you talk about justice in a situation where you spend over 5 years in court, at the High Court, over 5 years before you are even heard? I have cases involving me as a person, personal cases where I had grievances against state agencies and I sued, and I've been in court for like 4 years in one case. My matter has not been heard in one day. We've never been called to open our case. And yet, if that is not corrupt, what is more corrupt? Justice delayed is justice denied. Ariwola is still sitting there at his valedictory saying bye-bye, and he's talking about delaying justice. Who causes it?
Yeah, and this is the manner in which I summarized your book. It's an easy read. I probably read half of it on the plane from Lagos to Abuja, and just about 100 pages or so. You said in that book, and this is how I summarize it. You said that there is a systemic corruption, inefficiency, lack of public trust in law enforcement and judicial processes in Nigeria, and you gave us some very far-reaching and personal experience as a practicing lawyer. In fact, what bothered me is the names that you dropped and the names you mentioned, which I know can put you into legal trouble, and which I know that you're a man of, you're a troublemaker yourself.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
In law, the truth is an absolute defense against libel. Whether that libel is civil or criminal libel, the truth is an absolute defense. I challenge any one of them to dare to sue me, take me to that same court. The key reason why I felt myself compelled to write this book is the fact that I sought legal redress for the libel against me by one of the principal characters, and he used his clout in the judiciary to deny me the capacity to even question him.
These are heavy. These are weighty allegations. You have
they are not allegations. They are
former
facts.
Solicitor General of Lagos State, Lawal Pedro, SAN. You have accused Afe Babalola, SAN. You have accused a very prominent person in the judiciary also of compromise. In fact, you even mentioned the retired CGN Ariwola in some of your analysis in your book. These are weighty and heavy allegations against these personalities, don't you think?
Let me put it this way. I have been very, very deliberate about avoiding dealing with names and persons, because my fight in the Nigerian space is not against persons. It's about the decadent institution and the state itself. So whenever I have had to mention persons by name, it's been because it is completely unavoidable, and the truth and facts have to be established without looking at anybody's eyes, because all of us, we're just creatures in time. We will go eventually. Incidentally, my confidant and friend, who was chairman at the launch of the book, has passed on. Within less than 2 months of the book being launched. That shows you the transient nature. Yes, it shows you the transient nature of the life that we live. So if I say because I'm afraid of what a human being will do to me, or I'm afraid of how my professional colleagues or people might look at me when I have spoken the truth, what of when I'm dead? What happens then? So whilst I'm here, alive and well, and able to speak the truth that I've experienced and has been given to me to speak, it is not for me to look at the eyes of Uche, me, Woju Uche, whoever no like him. They are the legal gurus now. They know the road to court. I have every confidence in the capacity of the truth, both as a shield and as a sword. Every confidence. And having said that, I say this knowing that I have told the truth. The facts are inside the court's own records, notoriously. So if people are not happy with what I have said, that's their problem. But it's not about their person, it's about the situation, the system that has allowed such levels of abuse. It is the system, not the persons. Persons will live and they will die. I will go one day just as each and every one of the persons I mentioned. But the system that allowed that kind of evil has to change. If this society is going to be one in which our children are going to be able to live with some level and measure of decency, we cannot have a system that regulates impunity and then that licenses men to act as though they are gods and citizens ourselves that they can simply trample upon their head and then use the courts to legitimize the evil. No.
So you are saying what you have inferred in this book to me looks like a frustration of a lawyer who has seen the worst case scenario of what could have happened in any justice system, even in hell, and you have said, look, anybody who goes to find justice in the Nigerian system is a sheer waste of time. Does that represent your position after all said and done?
To a very large extent, you are correct, but I need to, because there are nuances to these things as well. Number one, it would be disingenuous of me to suggest that it is the evils that I saw in the system that led me to walk away from legal practice. That will not be true. I had already decided I was leaving when I turned 50. What happened in this case happened, I think, in 2013. So it's a story that took, 2012, 2013, is a story that took almost 12 years to write. So even after it had happened, I remained in practice for, I think, another 5 years before retiring. So it wasn't because of this. But when it comes to the truthfulness of your assertion that I had become disenchanted with the capacity of the system to deliver anything of value, you're completely correct. It had become clear to me that the Nigerian judicial system is completely unfit for purpose. Look, United Nations Office for Drug and Crimes was very clear in his indictment of the Nigerian judicial system. He says it is corrupt, horribly corrupt. That is not me. It is now my own experience. You know, when you are talking in abstracts and you are talking about the corruption of the judiciary, you are still speaking abstractly. What I have done is to offer my own first-hand experience within the system. I have merely spoken to what I saw within the system, what I witnessed. So where the United Nations Office for Drug and Crime can speak generally and in broad terms, where Mr. Shofunde could speak about the Supreme Court having become perfunctory with his judgment. I'm quoting him. Supreme Court judgment has become perfunctory. This is not, those are not rabble rousers. You can say Dele Farotimi is not well, he's a rabble rouser. Those are not Dele Farotimi. Those are individuals and institutions to whom you can at least ascribe some measure of temperance, unlike me. So that's what it is. It became tiring and it became important to set the record straight and let Nigeria be confronted with a mirror showing it is that judiciary should see its own ugly nudity and be forced to change itself. It's a society-wide thing. But if the judiciary is lost, what is left of the society?
So you have officially and permanently left the legal practice. And you're not open to return.
Never. I left legal practice in 2018 when I turned 50. I left. And I announced it to the whole world. I left my practice. I said bye-bye to it. I find my living in other ways. I try my best to find other living, but I left law practice completely. I find no satisfaction in it, not because of what is happening there. Like I said, even before I was ever called to the Nigerian bar, even when I was yet in the university, I'd already told all my friends that once I turn 50, I'll find other things to do with my life. I wasn't coming to practice to discover that the Nigerian legal system is horrible. No. I'm a member of this society. I didn't need to enter the law practice to find out that the law practice and the legal system is decadent. It is the same as every other aspect of our society. Every strata of our society is decayed, including the press. So this is not one where anybody gets to point fingers. It is a society-wide collapse. But I decided I was leaving. Let me find other living. I've been farming since maybe like 20-something years ago. I find other ways to earn a living and to live my life without the stress of saying my Lord and my lady to people that I know, your worship, your honor to people who are less than honorable. I'm done with all of that.
No, I mean, but it's okay to still call you a lawyer.
At the end of the day, whether you are fixed, retired, former, at the end of the day, I'm defined by my legal training. When I was taking the decision to read law, it was based on the understanding that I'm living in a lawless society, but it was necessary to understand the law so that I'll know the part where I have to bend or where I have to avoid. So I'm a lawyer for the rest of my life, but just not a practicing one. I'm retired.
And so I'm going to the nitty-gritty of what you wrote in your book, which I may not be able to pick on every character or every experience that you have, but there is one that seems to have touched you, and you became so emotional in the use of your language in this book. You describe the situation, historical factors, socio-political dynamics, and economic disparities, which you think have contributed to the dysfunction system we have within the Nigerian judiciary. You have argued that these challenges not only hinder effective law enforcement, but also undermine the protection of citizens' rights, leading to a cycle of impunity and justice. You particularly took on personalities and a very revered legal icon, Afe Babalola. You accused him of corrupting the Supreme Court. You accused him of libel. And you accuse him of leveraging his influence in the judiciary to deny you justice. You made reference to a particular case. And you also dragged the likes of Mr. Pedro S.A.N. in all of this argument. What exactly was the situation? And how can you defend what you have alleged in this book?
Like I have strived to explain, I am dealing with institutions and principalities within institutions. That I have had to deal with persons is, by the way, they are collateral to my preoccupation. Now, anything I have said in relation to any one of them, I am perfectly happy to defend myself before any court of law, anywhere in the world. And the fact of the truth that I have told, they are all in the public space, they are in the public record, they are before the courts. I have not written this book to scandalize or to make money. In actual fact, every kobo derived from this book already pledged and donated to a foundation for autistic children. This is not for gain. But the truth is the truth is the truth, and it must be told without caring about names or reputations. If I have lied against persons, they are lawyers. As you said, Baba is the legal igu in Nigeria. They are the ones who planted the judiciary that we have today. And I know and they know what they did in the case under reference. And the facts of what they did, the malfeasance, is before the court. They can't even, I don't even have to produce a single piece of paper. Everything is in the public space.
But it seems that person so revered as Afe Babalola, yes. It looks that you are impugning that image, that reputation built over the years. And I'm asking you to substantiate. Tell Nigerians on this platform what exactly was the case. How did he deny you justice through the system?
I wrote a book deliberately setting out the facts. I have also been very deliberate in my presentation and speaking about the book since I wrote it to make sure that nobody is able to say that I have written the book with the intention of scandalizing persons. When I said Afe Babalola denied me justice, I laid out the substance of my allegation in the book that I have written. If I begin to deal with the nuts and bolts of it on your podcast or in the press, that's why you've never seen me tweet any part of the allegation or speak about it publicly. I've put it in a book. That is deliberate. It will outlive me and them. It is not beer parlor talk. It is me putting my words in writing. It is indelible. Nobody can touch it again. Before that book was written, my major prayer was that Afe Babalola should live to read that book, or at least have somebody read it to him, or at least